Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. Where are all my peeps? I think there is a communication issue where a lot of people were looking at the rerun from yesterday. And guess what, folks? We had to do a little cut on the rerun to bring this into the fray. Anyway, folks, how are my peeps doing? Let's see. Where is everybody? Bear with me as I get all these things connected correctly, all the different live feeds set up, but we are doing what we need to do to get going. Anyway, we have a great show for you today. I tell you what, let me go ahead and start with let's go ahead and let me make sure I get the stream going and the different properties loaded. Bear with me one quick second. We're running a little bit behind. You know how that goes sometimes. You think you have everything lined up, and it's not as lined up as you had hoped. But guess what? We are going to get it done right this minute. There we go. That link is out. All right, we can get started. Lee Grant is in the house. How are you doing, Lee Grant from Montgomery County? We also have Bridge MCP. She says, I'm around here and there. Great to see you. Bruce Pollard is in the house. Eric Hayes is in the house as well. Hey, by the way, folks, we are also live streaming to Substack. So if you go to Substack, we've started the live. We're still in the testing phase of live streaming on Substack. What's the word? Because again, we are going full-fledged next year on January 2nd. We start with that. Let me go ahead and I need to pull up. The first thing I want to show is, a lot of people continue to worry. All right, come on, stop it right there. A lot of people continue to worry about what the Democrats have to do, and that they're faltering and the whole works. They're running scared. I want to show you something that Hakeem Jeffries said yesterday, and this comes from a TikToker that I'm trying to get that link. Bear with me. Copy the link. There's the link copied. I want to see if I can get it played here now for you. I want you guys to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's see if that's it. Did I get it? Yes, I got it. Now check this out. Let me get it to the right screen. I think it's gonna be the. All right, let's start it over again. There we go.
And this is how he ended off.
That's one presidential state in terms of the battleground. What happened in the other 5? Well, in North Carolina, notwithstanding the fact that Donald Trump won at the presidential level, Democrats won the governor's race, the lieutenant governor's race, the attorney general race, the secretary of state race, and the state Supreme Court in North Carolina on that very same day that Donald Trump won the presidential election. Are we on the run in the state of North Carolina? What happened in Wisconsin? On the same day that Donald Trump won at the presidential level, Tammy Baldwin was reelected. Are we on the run in Wisconsin, in the heartland of the United States of America, when Tammy Baldwin won with a Republican president winning at the top of the ticket? What happened in Michigan? Another heartland state. Alyssa Slotkin won the Senate seat and is on her way to the United States Senate. Are we on the run in the heartland state of Michigan? What happened in Nevada? Donald Trump wins the presidential election, but on the same day, same set of voters, Jackie Rosen is reelected to the United States Senate. Are we on the run in Nevada? And in Arizona, and by the way, in Nevada, all three House Democratic incumbents reelected. And in Arizona, Donald Trump wins somewhat convincingly at the presidential level. But Ruben Gallego is on his way to the United States Senate. Same day, same set of voters, same election. So there were 6 battleground states that had statewide elections outside of the presidential election. Democrats swept 5 and only lost in Pennsylvania. That doesn't sound to me like we need a complete makeover. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
And that was exactly the point, Michael Rudnin. You actually have it right. You said it exactly right, Mr. Rudnin. He doesn't have a mandate because he didn't get 50% of the vote, but also the problem was Kamala Harris. Why was Kamala Harris the problem, though? You have to ask yourself, why was she the problem? Let me give you another reality from this woman who pointed out that the reality is the people. When I spoke about the prejudice that caused her loss, I want you to listen to what this woman has to say on TikTok as well. I love the way she said it. Check it out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let me get it started over again. Let's pause it here and get that started. I want you to take a look at what she has to say. Here we go now.
Everyone, listen, we went viral on that post, and I'm going to answer as many questions out of the thousands and thousands that you sent to me. And yes, I will address the white women voting issue in a separate video. But this video is really for everybody who voted for Trump. And frankly, I'm just trying to help elevate you so that you make the right decisions in the future. Because, you probably haven't been around that wealthy elite crowd that makes all the decisions in the world and what you voted for. So I'm going to take it apart. Overnight, $64 billion went to the top 10 wealthiest people in the world based on the Trump decision. So it's kind of at your expense. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what you lost and I'm going to tell you what you gained. Okay? What you won. So this is a wild video. So hang on tight to the end because it's a doozy. So here's what people who voted for Trump lost. Kamala had started implementing a federal plan to help get you a single family home with 3 million homes with the top builders in the country who represent $500 billion worth of value. I know that industry extremely well. And boy, was that they were creating programs to help you be able to purchase your own home so that you could create generational wealth for your families. But nope. That's gone. So the second thing was this massive child tax credit, which was going to give you immediate dollars to help take care of your kids. But nope, that's gone too. The next one's a real big one. There is a tidal wave, a crisis coming for this country with the aging of the boomers, our seniors. So anyone who's got aging parents knows this already. Medicare does not cover that 6-figure annual fee to take care of home care for a parent who's aging out and needs that home care. They're an invalid. Guess what? Medicare doesn't cover it, and Kamala was going to guarantee that Medicare was going to cover it for every single family. That is one of the biggest ones that we missed the opportunity on. But nope, that's gone. And then the fourth one, just a small one, it's about our women. Women are dying out in this country who miscarry. 1.25 million women every single year. The fetal personhood laws that are being passed in these states because of the Dobbs decision is now scaring the hospitals so that they can't give that kind of care for someone who miscarries until they're right toward the end of the point of death. And that's what's happening. These women are dying. And guess what? If they survive, they get to be arrested and interrogated, because these laws are all about protecting the fetus, and they are going to ask the women, did you do anything to harm that fetus? So, nope, that's gone too. That protection is gone. So what did you win, right? With this vote for Trump, what did you win? This is a big one. Elon Musk already warned us. There are dark days ahead. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid are all going to be cut, so you get less money. Oh, and ding, ding, ding. What did you win? Deportation. Let the purge begin. Get the popcorn. That's what you won. So, for all you men who were at these rallies that were all kind of into the patriarchy, well, you know, when the fate of the world is at stake, maybe you step away from the glory hole and you read.
Now, that answers the question right there. So it is interesting, right? These people wanted to stick it to the libs. They wanted to display the essence of their prejudice. And in the process of doing that, it's not, Kamala is a rich woman. Kamala has money, Kamala has means, Kamala will live a very happy life. She doesn't have nothing to worry about. But those people who voted for her, voted against her, who voted for Trump, not even 50% of the population, they have pretty much screwed themselves. They are pretty much screwed themselves. So, you know, you wonder. I have some other points. Today's show is supposed to feature a pretty intelligent MAGA guy. I want you guys to listen. It's a 50-minute video, but I'm only going to play the first 40 minutes of it because of the time constraints that we have right now. But I want you guys to listen to this interview that I did. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. As you know, I try to get all sides of the debate, all sides of the discussion. And today is no different. Today, we're honored to have Bryce Eddy. Bryce Eddy is a cultural and political commentator and host of the Bryce Eddy Show, where even controversial or taboo topics get discussed, reminiscent of Joe Rogan Experience. I'm not going to give you the Joe Rogan Experience because the Joe Rogan Experience, I am not sure about anymore. But anyhow, welcome to Politics Done Right. Bryce, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Well, you know, Joe and I know each other because we came up through the jiu-jitsu world together. So I've wrestled him, 1,000 times. And what you see is what you get with the guy.
Wait. How many times did you beat him?
Well, you know, I was a belt ahead of him. So, you know, I was a savage.
Stop getting politically correct. Just say that you beat him every single time.
Well, you know, Joe's a good fighter, though, and I love him.
Anyway, folks, look, here's what I want to discuss with you. I want to discuss several topics. Conservatism. I want to discuss Donald Trump. And I want to discuss something, you know, healthcare. But I want to twist that in a particular manner in the way we tackle it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. How happy are you? Your guy got elected.
I'm very happy. When you say he's my guy, you know, that when it comes to getting someone elected, you know, obviously I'm not part of the crowd that believes that Donald Trump is the Messiah, but what he brings into his administration, you know, you're looking at 5,000 plus people who are going to be a part of that. And that's what we voted for. There are people that, you know, are out of their minds on both sides and, you know, worship politicians. That's not me. But I am very excited that we have this versus the alternative.
And what do you consider, what you call the alternative?
Well, I mean, contrary to what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were publicly saying, what they were endorsing was a continued establishment cabal of, you know, globalists that were going to be running our day-to-day lives. And I think that, you know, power needs to be as much as possible in the hands of the people. And, Donald Trump was a populist, and that's what we were looking for. I do believe that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz had very much a communist agenda or a globalist agenda. There's all kinds of things that we could call it or label it. But really, it was an anti-American agenda, and that's what I voted against.
Okay. Before we go into the 5,000 people that Donald Trump is going to bring in, what do you call an anti-American environment? Specifically, what policies would they support that you would be against?
Oh, I mean, from, her tax policy, monetary policy, the endless wars, All right, let's take that one at a time. Her economic policy. What in her economic policy don't you like? Oh, well, I mean, just for starters, the suggestion that you need to be taxing unrealized capital gains.
Okay, let me stop you right there. Why wouldn't you want to tax unrealized capital gains? We do that right now as it is for the average American citizen, don't we?
Well, explain what you mean by that then.
Okay, if I have a home, I pay taxes on my unrealized gains every time on my home. I own a car, I pay a tax on my depreciating gains on it all of the time. Now, the only people that don't get taxed on their unrealized gains are rich people who own stocks. I mean, while stocks are spread over the entire community, the entire sets of people, over 90% of stocks are owned by the top 10% or less of people. So therefore, if we look at where tax are biased against, right now it is rich people who actually get the support of taxes. Don't you agree?
No, not entirely.
But what I'm saying, is there anything wrong that I just said?
Okay, clarify what you're saying then so I understand. Because
what I'm saying is the following. I'm saying, if you take a look at all the assets of this country, right? Sure. Most of the assets of this country, 90% of the assets of this country is controlled by less than 10% of the people. In fact, 1% of the people control 80% of the assets. All of those assets, or most of those assets, are held in as unrealized gains. Okay? In other words, they have a value that won't be realized in cash until sold. Now, your home is also an asset that is an unrealized gain. But
I don't pay. And other than property tax, which I disagree with how we do that. Okay, I do not pay on the. I just sold a home and I paid taxes on the sale of that home, but my home was worth more than $1 million than what I had paid for it. Right, so I came away in a very good position on that one. But if you were to tax me on that additional $1 million, and of course, there, to a certain extent, property taxes do that, but not at that level, right?
But all I'm saying, what I'm trying to get us to agree on is that the middle class, no matter who is in office, and even based on what the taxes that Trump wants to get passed, it's the poor people that get stuck paying all these taxes on their on their wage earning and on their gains. And what I'm saying is that is an unfair tax system because it is not the working man who gets a tax break.
Well, I mean, look, I think you and I, and this I find fascinating, but I think you and I can probably identify many of the same problems.
I agree.
But we probably have very different solutions to come about that. If we're talking about a fair tax system, my approach would be completely different than probably your approach. But we're both agreeing that.
But I bet I could convince you that my way is probably best for people like you and me.
I'm blessed and I'm moderately wealthy because I've worked my butt off. I came from a very, very poor circumstances, worked my butt off, and I'm worth a fair amount. And if I didn't want to work for the rest of my life, I didn't have to.
Is Bezos worth the money that he has?
What's that?
Is Jeff Bezos worth the money that he has?
Yes.
Why?
That's very complicated, but billionaires, all right, and there's billionaires, and let's agree on this. There's billionaires that are on both sides of the political spectrum.
And let me just tell you, I disagree with billionaires on all sides. I think whether you're a progressive billionaire or you are a conservative billionaire, you didn't earn it, but please correct me.
Okay, yeah, I would love to get clarity on that. How did they not earn it?
Let me explain. Because first of all, the collective wisdom of this country comes from us all. It comes from you. It comes from everybody in this country. I was a former employee of NASA contractors, etc. I built I was part of the people who built the space station that's up there right now. Jeff Bezos took a lot of the technology that we built collectively, and by the way, that you, Mr. Bryce, paid for, and thank you so kindly. You paid for that technology. We get Musk that comes in, and Musk goes ahead and puts a rocket in suborbital flight, something that we've been doing since the 1960s. And the media and everybody say, oh, he did a great thing. But he was working off the collective knowledge of all of us, things that were invented before and things that the government paid to create, whether by private contractors or in-house. But he made the profits off of all that realized gains of the stock that he sold for that. How is that fair?
Well, all of us are standing on the shoulders of the people and generations.
Amen. Yes.
But that does not mean that the path before us is, and you'll have to tell me what your philosophy or core philosophy, if you want to go on and label it. But I'm a free market capitalist. Okay. Now what we have in this country is a corrupted version of capitalism. But I think that guys like you, and I say this with great respect,
right,
argue from an idealistic point of view, and we'll look at let's call it socialism, communism, some kind of idealistic philosophy, right? That means that, hey, we should all, share some kind of egalitarianism. And then they contrast that with a corrupted version over here. What we need to do is repair this over here. And I'll bet you and I could go down a tremendous list of things that we agree upon that are fundamentally corrupted, that I believe have been corrupted by government influence and government grift in the entire process, that puts it to where, we've destroyed small business, we've destroyed the middle class, but our solutions are not to go down a path where we're going to eliminate people being able to be wealthy.
No, I don't want. Are you worth? Let's say you're worth $20 million. I don't know what you were, but let's say you're worth $20 million. I don't have a problem with you because that's peanuts. Okay, $20 million, peanuts. It's for a lot for a poor person. It still puts you in the upper 5 percentile, or probably a little better than that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're in the top 1%. I mean, the minuscule percentage of people on Earth.
You are. I'm not. I'm a political activist all the way. So I gave up everything. So for this, but what I'm trying to say is the following. And I think we would come down in the same place if we actually looked at who's at people's worth. And my contention is, I don't know a billionaire, whether Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, or Elon Musk, that's worth the billions that they have. And my contention is that they made it off of our backs. And in other words, I think if we were to, Jeff Bezos can't program a computer worth hell, but his systems are based on computer systems. Elon Musk is one of the worst programmers, bar none, but his technologies, both within his electric cars, etc., made him rich. Government made Elon Musk rich by creating a structure in where all the oil guzzling cars had to pay him a stipend to put out an electric car. And then people say he's this great intelligent wizard. He's not. And my contention is our form of capitalism actually allows charlatans like billionaires like Musk, Bezos, and all these guys to exist. Your thoughts?
Yeah, to call them charlatans, I believe that's rooted in envy.
Wait, my brother. I swear to you, and I just want this. I want to be clear. I don't have envy on any of that, because if I chose to be like them, the knowledge base here is enough to do that. The thing about it is they chose the capitalist format. I think the capitalist format is nothing but antiseptic slavery, but we can discuss that further later.
Well, sure. Listen, I mean, I own a cigar lounge in town. I am a terrible bartender. I hire bartenders and I pay them, the market wage, and I take care of them and I give them big tips and I treat them well, and I give them bonuses and I'm kind to them, and they make great drinks, and I'm a lousy bartender. So,
but that's good.
I don't understand how you would suggest that because Elon Musk is not a terrific programmer, him taking capital okay, from multiple sources, including taking advantage of government programs that politicians like the Clintons instituted or Barack Obama instituted.
All of them are corrupt.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I don't understand how you can say, though, that leadership has no value. I mean, I have an insight. You know, I've worked in a capacity that has gotten me into the orbit of an Elon Musk, right? Mm-hmm. I know other billionaires, and I watch how they think, how they work, the obsessiveness for which they work. Many of them have tremendous leadership ability. They have gifts that God
my brother, however, my dear brother, I don't care what leadership they have, they couldn't do it without the technical abilities of those who actually, the engineers and the scientists that did it. Those people are not compensated relative to the people like Musk at all. And that's all I'm saying. I'm saying there should be equity somewhere. And you're asking me, what is that worth? I don't know what it's worth. That's probably above my pay grade. But what I know it's not worth is $1 billion. Because again, no one by themselves. In other words, if any one of those people your bartenders are happy with you, because we are talking nominal types of monies here. But when we get to Americans don't understand what billions look like. They don't understand what the super wealthy really looks like. And that's why we can get conservatives who will support voting against their interests, in my humble opinion. But I leave that with you. Let's close out this section on billionaires by me asking you, what is it that you think? Why is it that you think they should be able to extract that percentage of the economy when their worth isn't commensurate with that?
Well, because I just fundamentally don't think you understand what they also do for our economy, our way of life, our lifestyles.
I will extend it. Tell me what they do. I'm sorry.
Do you own a Tesla? It's an amazing vehicle. I don't, by the way.
But he didn't build it. Musk did not build the Tesla, nor Musk did not build electric cars. It was ceded to him.
Wait, okay. I don't think the person who lays the bricks, okay, at the behest of the person who owns the brick building company has inherently more value than the other. You're suggesting that the person that is working very hard and they deserve a tremendous amount. You can tell me what you think they deserve, right? Mm. But we have free market economic forces that
sorry. Go ahead, sir.
We do to it. We do. Now you and I could agree, and we could probably spend hours talking about how I would restore more balance to small businesses, because we have government interference that has allowed for some of the mass collection of wealth in picking winners and losers. Okay. There has been many government forces and collusion, especially right now in a corporate
One example of that, please, sir. I hear that a lot on the conservative side, and I've never heard a conservative tell me what. Say it again.
There used to be tens of thousands of small banks around the country.
I agree.
After 2008, we destroyed that in favor of big banks because the government bailed them out instead of letting them suffer the consequences.
That's not what happened. And that's a big thing that concerns me when we put it that way. We have to remember that at one point, our banking sector went, the fault of this is not Ronald Reagan. The fault of this is Bill Clinton. When like Glass-Steagall, when we went ahead and pretty much merged the investment side of banking with the regular side of banking. Yeah.
It goes back 100 years before that, though, brother.
Right. But
what we did, and this is where I think maybe we could agree, we stopped we protected bankers against the decisions that they were making. Bankers used to loan their own money. It was a collection of wealthy people that came together with capital and interviewed the people in their community. They were very much community based. Okay, Bill over here is going to be able to pay it back. We're going to take a risk on Bill. We're going to do this. We're going to give him a loan. He's going to build this business. He's going to pay us back. We interview him. We know him in the community. We did that. Once they removed that and the bankers were too far from it and the government protected them against losses, and then the government also forced them to lend to people that could not pay it back.
That part isn't true, but continue.
Well, of course it's true.
It's not true at all. I mean,
of course, we had that. How do you think?
2008 happened because of something called the derivatives, and the derivatives that were fully. It's a locked up system where insurance A was dependent on insurance B, C, D, and then it gave into what we call in software company the deadly embrace. So that's what happened.
But you're forgetting that they loaned to people who could not afford.
You know what? You're right. Let me tell you where you're right, brother. You are right that they loaned that money that they shouldn't have loaned, but it was in their interest to loan that money. It wasn't the government saying you must loan to somebody who can't afford it. What the bankers did is they created a false structure of these exploding loans that made people seem like they could afford the loan. And that wasn't the government driven. That was the capitalist system saying, how can we find a way to con these people to get the immediate, because we know the government will back us at the end.
Well, yeah, but you understand that there's also, I think you're forgetting that this goes hand in hand, or maybe you're not, maybe you're misunderstanding what I'm saying, but this is all going hand in hand.
That's why I said I think we can agree on quite a bit. The problem the problem that we have a lot of times is that I say this with great respect. I think too many of us are the pawns of the billionaires. When I tell you the billionaires don't deserve or work for any of this, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about most of my conservative friends. Most of my conservative friends have been led to believe that somehow we need these rich guys because greed is good, or because these guys has some innate ability to do things. And I'm saying they don't. And you still believe they do.
No. I do not believe in, and I want to hear some of your solutions, because I don't want to leap to all the conclusions based on what you've already said. But no, I believe that free market capitalism is superior to all other forms, even if it has inherent problems. I think most of the problems come from what has happened with government interference and the manipulation of our government and our state taking too big a role in these sort of things in favor of the billionaire class, or call it the oligarchs, call it the globalists, because I think we have a big push there. I think that is who our enemy is. I do not think it is all of the people, the billionaires, the drivers of wealth, because they do drive wealth. I do not think that you lay it at all of their feet. And I do not think that we create a structure where you artificially bring the government in to create an egalitarianism or anything like that. I think that's where you get people starving.
Okay, now let me point this out, because you said you wanted what my view was. And I spoke about this on my KPFT program, 90.1 FM this morning. And I said the problem is that you start at capitalism. I start at free enterprise. Okay, capitalism and free enterprise are not the same thing. I have free enterprise at the top of my pyramid. And below free enterprise, I have capitalism, socialism, and collectivism. And what I mean by the following. Things like healthcare, where I don't have the choice. If I get sick, I must get healthy. I must get healed. I don't get choices. That does not belong in a capitalist structure, because I don't have choices. There's no free market there. Now we have capitalism. Capitalism is where we have your restaurants, your shows, your bar, everything else. Free market capitalism works fine under that scenario. And then collectivism, as opposed to the corporation, where we have the corporations that have this rigid structure, which is nothing more than antiseptic slavery, because it is not a democracy. It's something that's run. If you want within capitalism to have companies that work that way, have at it. But I'm saying there are some people that will want a collective system to work. We can have all these things coexist with free enterprise being on the top, meaning we're free to choose. Honestly, free to choose. Now, under the capitalist system, we are slaves, because again, those who own capital own everything. AI that's coming out in the next few, that's going to be taking over a whole lot of stuff. It's people talk about it as getting rid of jobs. I look at it as being a great opportunity. If we follow the model that I just spoke about, what we finally get is we say, instead of having a 40-hour work week, AI is going to give us a 20-hour work week, a 15-hour work week. Why? Because it's using the composite knowledge of all of us. That's what AI is. But the way capitalism works is those who can capture the end product, they are the ones who profit from it, and the rest of us remain indentured servants. And you say,
yeah, well, no, all of us profit from it, which is why we're the wealthiest nation that has ever existed on the planet. And we have lifted more people out of poverty. Historically, our lives are easier than they ever have been because of our system. I am not arguing with you that our system does not have corrupt elements.
Did you agree with my structure? Free enterprise? No. Why not?
Because socialism can't exist under that.
No. I think you. What is socialism?
Well, okay. Let's talk about what there's the definition of socialism. There's what people have perverted it into, like saying, but the fire department means we're socialist.
That's correct.
No,
that is not correct.
No, socialism is the government owning the means of production.
Do you know of anybody? Do you know of anybody in America? And this is a question that I ask all the conservatives that I speak to. Do you know of anybody in America, from Bernie Sanders all the way to Kamala Harris, who believes in a socialism that talks about the government owning all sources of production?
Yeah, I do.
Who?
Well, they write about it.
No. Bernie Sanders have never once has he said anything about owning the sources of production. You know what they mean by socialism?
Of course they don't. Because that's
you can only
say it in that definition is unpalatable.
No. That's not
to the population. That
you know what they did?
Property.
They changed the dictionary system, and let me tell you how deep our system is. The dictionary has now defined socialism and communism as co-equal. Take a look at your Webster dictionary. That's a fallacy.
They're both based in collectivism,
of course.
And one is a different means of getting to the other. But one is death by suicide, the other is death by murder.
No. We have to be honest here. Let me tell you what socialism, as we talk about. When I say free enterprise, this free enterprise at the top, meaning we have choices. Free enterprise, we have choices. Under free enterprise, we have capitalism. Those who want to follow that model for their businesses, etc., they can do that.
Not under what you're suggesting, because you've already said that we should not have billionaires.
No. I said we should not have billionaires. And now when it comes to that thing there, that chapter on capitalism, no billionaires will exist. And why will those billionaires not exist? Because the thievery that occurs under how the billionaire got their monies would not be feasible. Now, if for some reason they got around the system and people want to say, I'm going to make you have a billion.
Tell me how John D. Rockefeller stole.
John D. Rockefeller stole, first of all, from the inception of this country, the lands that he mined from, by you ever saying that the oil in that ground belongs to that person. That is fallacy. That oil was there. So once we get the person with capital that goes ahead and extract that oil and profits from that oil, at that point in time, if that revenue is not shared by the country itself, that is theft, because they didn't put it there.
So do you believe in private ownership of land?
I am contentious of, right. First of all, let me answer that in two ways.
Sure.
I understand that right now we do have private ownership of land, but it's kind of interesting because all the land that we have private ownership of is this way. I stole this thing. Now I own it. And now I can do whatever I want with it. That's one way of looking at it. That's looking from the.
How does one? I own 10 acres up the road here that I'm going to build a house on.
Right.
How did I steal that?
Well, you didn't steal that land. You're a part of a structure that's already in existence. But the people who sold that land and the people who acquired that land in the first place, the generation one of the people who came to this plan and says, I take this land in the name of either the Queen or in the name of the United States or whatever. At that point,
I
it was
a
stolen.
homesteader, and I
Right, but what I'm saying, the homesteader that you got, right? And this is what I think we need to be humble about. A lot of the homesteads that people haven't said, oh, this has been in my family for generations. Yeah, it was in your family for generations, but guess what? It started being owned by somebody else, and that it was nobody paid for it. The country just took it. And when we are honest with ourselves and
no
realize, you don't have any problem with just taking the land, right?
No, I do not.
And that's fine. And what I'm saying is I do. And those are some fundamental differences between how people think and how people evaluate things. And that's fine. What we ought to do is democratically resolve those issues. And that's what I think we're going to do.
Okay. So would you suggest then, all right, a guy owns 100,000 acres of, prime land, somewhere here in the West. Do you believe that he should be allowed to do that? Or you think that if people voted that he shouldn't allow that, you can seize it?
Well, no, what I really think about is that the people who had ownership of that land originally, the people who have birthright to that land, at this point in time should start the process of suing those people who.
How do you measure their birthright? I mean, are we talking about indigenous people?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I do.
Yeah, but the Indians have a long line of, you trace back any of them, it's a long line of conquering each other. And
I understand
that land.
I understand that. And that's where we get to the primal question is, do I believe in land ownership? I think land, when you bring all those machinations in, you see the issue. It's a real issue. It's like, who has the land? The person who conquers it. And well, if somebody else conquers it from you, don't complain. But that's a kind of veering off that veers off the subject a bit. I think we have a good understanding on things like capitalism, but I want to talk about Donald Trump in a matter. Do you think Donald Trump is a good guy?
Well, I don't think anyone's a good guy. I think we're all inherently sinful. I think we all have our problems, but I'm not voting for, pastor in chief. I'm not voting for, you're always voting the lesser of two evils, unless Jesus is on the ticket. I'm sure you've heard that before. Mm-hmm. Is Donald Trump a good guy? I think there's elements of him that is, and there's things that I disagree with.
Do you think Donald Trump is a thief?
Well, no.
Yes or no? Do you think Donald Trump is a rapist?
No, I do not believe he's.
Do you think Donald Trump lies a lot?
I think that.
Let me tell you why I want to do it this way, because I'm going to give you all the latitude you need to tell me about Donald Trump.
Sure.
Do you think Donald Trump is a liar?
Well, we're all liars.
Do you think Donald Trump lies more than most?
More than most politicians?
No, more than most. I mean,
not.
Even politicians. You don't think so? All right. Do you think Donald Trump cares about you?
Well, let me answer that one precisely. So I've met him before. I mean, I've met him several times since. I'll be at Mar-a-Lago this week, and I think he is a very genuine person to people, especially on a private level. I've been pretty impressed about how he's treating his team and staff. I met him prior to him ever running for office. We'll call it probably 2011, 12, somewhere in there. I insured one of his hotels, and he was passing through that day. I had a great story told to me from his former driver, who's now the GM of that particular hotel, who said that the day I went to work for Trump, he said, if you pay attention, you listen and learn, you're not going to be my driver for long. And the guy moved up through the company and was a very competent GM of that particular hotel. I can't tell you how many people I know who are lauded by the public, whose children hate them. And Donald Trump has well-organized kids who love and appreciate their father. So it tells you a lot about who he is behind the scenes. I think calling him a rapist or, things like that based on E. Jean Carroll, who had zero credibility. There was nothing about that was credible in her arguments. There was nothing about that trial that was fair to Donald Trump, including not being allowed to bring in evidence about her character in the process. And I think we have a problem when we have that much lawfare against an individual like Donald Trump or many people in this administration. We've also diminished and devalued actual rape victims and things like that by the lawfare that they promoted against Donald Trump. And all of those things are falling apart and disintegrating as we speak because the jig is up.
Actually, why do you say they're falling apart? I mean, they're going to fall apart because he's president. America chose to elect him again.
Well,
right?
They were falling apart prior to that.
Well,
no.
Wait,
just
go
based
ahead.
alone on some of the novel legal theories that they used to prosecute him, or things where they had to change the law in order to go after him. Whether you like him or not, you have to, as a rational human being, admit that there were lawfare actions against him. It was going after a political opponent. Whether some of those things, we elevated misdemeanors to felonies using all kinds of artful legal shenanigans. You have to see that, and I don't believe Donald Trump is Jesus Christ or my Messiah.
Well, I don't agree with you that these things were elevated unduly, because it's been done a whole lot before.
Hey, Alvin Bragg and others ran specifically on the idea that you elect me, I'm going to do whatever it takes to go after Trump.
Well, I think Trump does the same thing too, right?
No.
You don't think he did that? You don't think he did that when he said he would arrest Hillary Clinton, and he said that on stage for all of us to hear? You don't think he did that as well when he did it with the FBI director? You don't think he did it as well when he actually, as he's running right now, said it's going to be retribution at the next election? So what I'm saying is let's not play the side of this equality. They both do it, but let's talk a little bit about this. Why is it that he's surrounded with guys like Pete Hegseth for defense secretary, this guy that his own mother thinks he is an abuser of women? Why is he that he's around somebody like Gates, who we know for a fact is a dope, sniffer, as well as,
All right. Tell me how we know that for a fact.
Because again, okay, let me back up, because I'm glad that,
because I know Matt Gaetz.
No. Let me tell you, I'm glad that you asked that. Okay, given the evidence and that has come out, the people who've said they've been with him doing these drugs, etc. Given that conservatives on the floor have seen some of the pictures of Gates crushing his Viagra with. I don't remember what else it was, and talking about it and showing them the women. Again, these are conservative Congress people that have seen all of these things. They've come out and said it. So there may be a 1% chance that it's not true, but the overwhelming evidence is there that he does it. But my whole contention is
it's not overwhelming evidence, and you need to stop that, because you're playing into the games that they play on both sides. By the way,
no, don't do that. Let me give you an example. Donald, sure. I am so happy that Biden pardoned his son. And the funny thing about it is I'm not even a fan of Biden or his son.
Right.
But I just think that based on what Donald Trump said he's going to do, I was happy that he did it. All the Democrats to put it bluntly, are pissing me off, because they're out there. Oh, he went against what he said. He said he was. And I'm like,
are you saying Democrats? Because in what I'm reading, all the Democrats are like, yeah, that's right. He should have pardoned him.
I don't know where you're seeing here. If you take a look at,
I'm seeing it bubble up.
No, brother. In fact, I was watching Don Lemon today, and he's just as upset as I am, because Democrats are like little punks with their tails within their legs that are there saying, "Oh, he went against his word." No.
Well, I'll take your word for that. I'm seeing hundreds saying that they're happy that he did. So
that is one of.
I expected him to. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I've seen coming out of the conservatives that I respect is calling out the fact that he boldly said that he would not do that, and pointing out the hypocrisy of that, which I think that's fair.
And has Donald the same thing with it? Has Donald done the same thing over and over again?
Well, everybody has their list of pardons, but
no. That's not what I mean.
He pardoned him for things that he did or may have done, versus, people are trotting out Jared Kushner's father, who served time for the things that he was pardoned for. Not an open-ended.
Now that part is true,
pardon.
Brother. That part is true. But given that he only has about 50 days or so in the House, I am all for what he did, and I'm telling you this because what I want him to do next is to pardon everybody in the Justice Department. Because again, it's not going to happen. But I wish he would. That said, my concern about this is, do you have children?
I do.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
3.
Any women that are kids?
All daughters.
Oh man, that's your fault, right?
I love it.
I have a daughter. I love these girls. Are the best to her heart.
21, 20, and 15.
Oh man, you're really in those trouble ages right now, because all those boys are looking at your beautiful daughters.
Well, my oldest just got married, and she married a great guy, and I love him to death.
Well, you know what? You're a lucky man. You're a lucky man. But let me just tell you, how can you vote for Donald Trump, right? And look at your kid in the eye, knowing, I'm assuming that you believe this guy has been a predator before, given the number of women that have claimed he's a predator.
So here's the problem with what they have done in our modern politics is everyone you looked at. Here's why this has been bad for women in general. From the moment Russell Brand gets traction and becomes a new man, claims himself, now conservative, goes to that. What do? They immediately come out with, decades old claims against him, things that weren't, they didn't go after him at the time. All these things surface. OK, if there is criminal behavior by people, we need to go after them. Mm-hmm. The problem that we have with many of these things, E. Jean Carroll being the most prominent one, this is a woman who bragged on television about rape fantasies. This is someone that had zero credibility, and in front of a jury in an area where it's 90% Democrat, he was convicted of, civil trial, right? Not even of rape, but the judge from the bench says that, basically it was rape. All of that stuff makes it to where you're not going to be believed.
My question to you,
all of the same thing. Hang on. I have personal insight into what they did. Congressman Madison Cawthorn is one of my very good friends. Mm-hmm. He was out here for my daughter's wedding a few weeks back. We spent a lot of time together. I know him well. I know him as well as anybody. They paid one of his friends $200,000 to get pictures and give a password to his iCloud account so they could pull pictures and take them out of context, including one of which was him with a couple of gals, him being draped in lingerie that was when he was 19 years old on a cruise ship game show with his family in the audience. And they pretended like he was a sexual deviant based on that. They do this to everyone. And
on all sides. On all sides.
Mostly on all sides. But I would put the balance of it, and I'll tell you exactly why, is because conservatives tend to generally have more Christian foundational underpinnings.
Thank you for making the segue, because
let me just finish this sentence.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is they know that gets to us and destroys credibility. Okay. So they'll attack us with those sort of things. I mean, the second anyone on our side runs for anything prominent or gets pushed up for anything prominent, immediately. And that's not what the conservatives generally do. And we know by Bill Clinton and JFK and everybody else, people in powerful political roles and positions or certain personality types get compromised by deep state actors, honeypots. All of those sort of things exist in politics. I wish it didn't, but it does.
Now, let me tell you, I can refute everything that you said with respect to the number of memes that come out that are misleading, etc. The right wing has a much, much bigger machine. In fact, it is paid for. While on the liberal side, unfortunately, we don't have the investments for that. The $1.2 billion that went to Kamala went to all those high price elitist guys on the coast. So the real stuff comes from your side. But let me ask you something about Christianity, because you're a Christian, and I will never question your faith. I think, I listen to the way that you talk about your daughters, and I can see the love that you have for your daughters, etc., just like the love I have for my daughter. But what concerns me is how the way many conservatives operate. It is for them only, meaning for their insular families only. Let's go ahead and take a look at, first of all, I don't understand, and I don't think there's anything that you've been able to say today that convinces me that your vote for Donald Trump doesn't present a problem to your daughters, okay? Whether they say it or not. Somebody that is on tape talking about grabbing women and taking advantage of women. I'm not talking about hearsay now. I'm talking about what he said. Your daughters, in my humble opinion, even as they are within your framework, there's something in the back of their heads that are going to wonder, how can this guy be the president of the United States? And their sons have to wonder, are we justifying the abuse of women by men just of what this guy said? Before I let you answer.
Wait. Let's go on what he said, though, because you're mischaracterizing.
No,
you're turning it into sexual assault when he said a fundamental reality and truth. If you are a powerful celebrity who's incredibly wealthy, women throw themselves at you and will let you grab them by the nether regions.
I'm not.
That's what he said.
Again, it doesn't.
I'm not advocating it. Obviously,
No. I know that's what
mischaracterize.
I gave you
sexual assault,
brother Bryce. I gave you your kudos as a Christian. Now I am confronting you with non-Christian acts, okay, by this guy.
Well, I'm not considering that a Christian act, but
I get it, sir. I understand. I honestly understand. What I'm saying is you cannot make this guy any type of moral person, no matter what you try.
I don't.
Okay. And that's good. I'm glad that we're at least there. Okay. Now, what I'm saying then is to put this guy in the highest elective office. It does something, not maybe immediately, to the psyche of children, because we have now moved the pole. We've moved it. But biblically, right, the things that is supported, I know you know your Bible very well. We should not be treating the foreigners the way we treat the foreigners right here in this country. We should not be doing, if we are biblical, the things that we are doing in this country today with regards to healthcare, we shouldn't be doing. The things that we are doing with regards to childcare, we shouldn't be doing. And I don't see, capitalism is in direct contrast with the Bible. Capitalism in healthcare, capitalism in all these other forms of social things that we need is in direct conflict with the Bible. And in some of your foundational material, I can prove that. But go ahead. Why is it not true?
Okay, you're pretending that the concept of business did not exist in biblical times.
No. Jesus, in fact, when they had business on the Sabbath, went and tore down the whole thing, right?
Okay, wait. You're talking about the temple.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, money changers in the temple is different than what we're talking about here. You're pretending that they didn't have tent makers and fishermen and all the people that sold their goods in the marketplace. What happens on your side is you take the idea that we need to care for the poor.
Yes.
And you overlay on top of it the responsibility of the state to do that, which is not what Jesus talked about.
No.
It's us taking our money voluntarily and giving to the poor. Which I give hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Like I said, I think you're a good person, but I think the thing about it is, as a society, there's a difference between a society. We have a society for a reason. Society is that together we do things better and more effectively. And I don't want to depend on your generosity to have a society that was built by a whole bunch of folk that has some aberrations in that society that has to be mitigated via what taxes do.
Yeah. Here's our conflict. You believe, and this happens in Europe, and Europeans do not give to charity like the U.S. does. And the reason being is because they have been told and conditioned forever that the state, and it's their responsibility to take care of things. So you were thinking, my neighbor across the street, can endorse the government to come and take the money by force from me to care for the poor.
I love the way you say that. Take the money by force. No, Jesus said, "Give unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, unto the Lord what is the Lord." So if we want to be technical about it, there's nothing about theft when we talk about taxes. Taxes are done by a government that is freely elected by and for the people. So therefore, that stuff about the government
wasn't in Caesar's day.
I know it wasn't then, but now it is.
Well, don't confuse it.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal, and which is very important, right? You talk about Europe. Europe has a much more humane way of handling healthcare. Europe has a much more humane way of handling social welfare. And the thing about it is that's why people in Denmark are much more happy than they are here. And that is quantifiable and verifiable. So
in a homogenous society, right?
It doesn't have
And
anything
it's
to do with
very small.
homogeneity.
Sure it does.
No, it does
Sure
not.
does.
It scales. The thing
Very
about it
small.
is it scales
Highly
better.
educated,
No.
homogenous society.
No, it scales better. And when it comes to education, what we have been trying in America is to uneducate people. That's why we don't believe in critical thinking anymore. We don't want people to think too much.
Yeah, that's why we need to get rid of the Department of Education. Would you agree on that?
No.
It's destroyed our education system since its inception in 1979.
No. Here's a problem right now, Brother Bryce. We are close to the end of this discussion for this segment. I'm going to want to have you on again.
Let's do it again. Listen, I appreciate you. I really do. And I'm glad that we can have this talk. Healthcare is one of my expertise.
Oh, me too. We're going to have a great talk on that.
And I think that you're dead wrong about it, but I bet we could come up with some areas of agreement.
That would be great. But I tell you how I want to close, because, Donald Trump is now in the control of our country effective the 20th of January. There won't be any people going onto the Capitol and blowing crap up like it happened on the 6th when Donald Trump lost the election. Now, what do you expect out of the 4 years of Donald Trump?
Well, first, January 6th was very much a manipulated inside job, and a lot of that's going to be coming out here shortly. I have a guy who's going to come on my show as soon as he's able, and we're going to talk about how many known FBI agents were in that crowd fomenting a lot of that sort of stuff in order to push a particular political narrative. And we can talk about that another time. And
I would love to talk about that, because you are so wrong about that. But I definitely want to talk to you about that, because what I see is an alternate state of reality that we have to come to agreement with. And the problem is that there's a lot of good Bryce. Let me be honest with you in closing, Bryce. I don't know how much of the stuff you say relative to Trump you actually believe, because after speaking to you for almost an hour, you're a damn bright guy. You are a very smart guy. And my concern, in doing media, the same that you do here, you are very well funded. We are not here on this side. And my thing is, and I say this, I'm not wanting an answer. It concerns me that we have very smart guys like you out there that are telling this story and that are effective in telling the story. Because I think, and I say this with respect, it's really a danger to the country. But we will talk about this. We're going to talk again, and I am talking about soon, because you are one conservative guy. I'll actually call you a MAGA guy that actually can have an intelligent conversation. So thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll leave you with one thought. I voted for Godzilla, and I do believe everything that I've said. I voted for Godzilla in the hopes that he holds back the hordes emerging from hell. We can talk a little bit more about that, but in his administration, including people that I know very, very well, who are believers, who are stand-up moral actors, will be a part of this administration, and that's what I voted for. I love you, brother.
Love you, brother, and we'll talk again.
Have you on my show as well. We'll arrange.
I appreciate that. Let me tell you, in as much as this guy is a great gaslighter, I enjoyed it, and I'm going to, and he wants to interview again. And you know what? I'm going to give him that opportunity, because he's a good gaslighter. But I have something special for him, because again, it is important let me tell you something. While you'll see a couple of folks in the chat like, oh yeah, they finally meet a MAGA guy that sounds, fairly intelligent. And they're proud of it, and I can understand that. Okay, Patrick, how you doing, brother?
Doing fine. I think that we're a little bit over on time.
Yeah, we're over, but real quick, that's fine.
He said that he believes in free market capitalism. Now, free market capitalism can't exist with billionaires.
No, and there's so much that we need to talk about that. And not only that, you saw what I presented to him. Free enterprise on top with the different selections for different modals. He couldn't even, I don't think he actually understood that, right? Because it threw a wrench into his thought process, because you just nailed why it threw a wrench into his thought process. Free market capitalism and billionaires don't coexist because the billionaires buy up everything to prevent that.
And not only that, when capital is a form of coercion. If I have enough money, I can get other people to do what I want, or I can sabotage other people.
You buy up everything,
so
right?
So if I can sabotage people or I can manipulate people, how is that free?
Exactly. But look, we went really over, and I don't want to do too much post-processing on this show. So I want to thank you for calling in. I want to thank everybody who stayed over to listen to it. And Patrick, let's you can bring this up tomorrow. I mean, the next morning that we have at KPFT. But thank you so kindly for listening, my brother.
What about Zoom?
Yeah, we by the way, tomorrow is Ask Egberto Anything. I forgot to announce it. Thank you for telling me that. Ask Egberto Anything is tomorrow. I better go ahead and send it out in my email as well. Thank you, my brother.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. All right, folks, I don't have any time to do anything else. Please go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter and become a paid subscriber. We have a lot of this stuff coming up, a lot of these kinds of conversation. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.